Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel, The Oversharing Mom. This is where Ramana and myself, my name is Sasha, we've started this channel to talk all things conception, pregnancy, birth, babies, toddlers, etc. And today I want to talk to you about emotions. I've mentioned in our previous video that today I will be talking about emotions. And of course, it's a vast topic. So why is it something that I even want to talk about? Well, even before we talk about children, and this is relevant even if you don't have children, it's something that I personally wish I knew before I had my child. It's just something that's extremely useful. And just having this information helps you prepare psychologically, and it helps you understand or even think what kind of parent you want to be, or how you think you are going to be. Of course, it will be different once you actually welcome your child and you kind of adapt. But at least the more information there is that you have for you, then it sort of opens up your mind and prepares you a little bit for the experience. Because we were quite shocked, actually. Well, I certainly was very shocked when I had my child, how little. I mean, there is a lot of information, more of it. It seems to be like a lot of focus on birth itself, but actually it's such a small part of it that I was really rather shocked how little information I did have, and how much I had to quickly learn and keep on constantly researching, and how much I didn't know. And that's kind of what made Ramana and myself start the channel, but also to continue learning, continue doing even more in-depth research into various areas. So today, I want to talk to you about emotions specifically. And of course, it's a very human thing, and it's a very important thing. We all feel these emotions. And, if we're talking just in general, like the latest discoveries in quantum physics and things like this, when we start talking about attracting certain things and, manifestation, then it all actually links in with emotions. So at first, there was this information, just think positively, just think positively, etc. And of course, it's a great thing to think positively. However, to really manifest or to create actual real change in your life, or if you're even trying to change something in your life, not necessarily to attract, but you just want to, I don't know, have a healthier lifestyle, or you want to be earning more money, or etc., then actually it's not just the positive thinking, it's actually connecting it to the emotion that actually creates the change. So it's not just, for example, I want more money, but it's linking it with actually, I feel that I have it. How does it feel? Then every cell in our body needs to embody or have that experience in order for us to attract, or, just so this is just the overall. I'm trying to highlight the importance of emotions. So, first of all, we all have them, but it's just really important to understand them, because not only do we have them, and how do we feel and process these emotions, but also how can we actually use them to help ourselves and to reach our goals. And I know it seems to be strange I'm talking about this, because this channel is all about babies and pregnancy, and I'm talking about that. However, it all starts in childhood. So this is why I wanted to talk about emotions. And kids are amazing, and quite often we don't support them in understanding their own emotions. Quite often, like the old school way of growing up, like how I grew up, nobody talked about the emotions. Nobody allowed me, there was no vocabulary for emotions. There were no words that identified what one might be feeling. And even worse, this is actually on my list to mention, but is just mentioning it now. But even worse, when you see your parents, for example, they argue or they worried about something, doesn't matter what's going on. And you as a child, it looks concerning. So you see this and you ask them, oh, is everything okay? And if in response you get, yes, everything's fine, that's very confusing information for a child, because they clearly see something isn't fine. But if they consistently hear that it's fine, then that sort of emotion or whatever is going on becomes the norm, and it's actually not understood, it's not felt, and then they're going to face their own issues with that in the future. So let's begin. So what I want to talk to you about is, well, kids are incapable of rational thought. This is something reserved for adults. So kids feel everything, their whole experience is is all about emotion. It's all about feeling. They feel everything. It's really quite remarkable. And this is something I personally did not understand, and it was really quite shocking to me. It was actually really difficult. It took a lot of work for me personally to do on myself, to deal with. I felt like I was learning how to deal with my own emotions as an adult, and I arrived at a place where I was like, okay, I think I found a way how I can sort of find that harmony and that sort of balance. But when you have a child, I was shocked how literally, the mood changes, and could be screaming from anger, then laughing, really enjoying something, then crying and being upset, and that could all be within a minute. So that was something that was really quite, well, extraordinary, but also, something I had to kind of learn about and understand and be okay with. That's another thing, because when you yourself want some sort of balance, and then you see something that isn't, well, at least how I perceive it. Of course, for him, it's perfectly normal, experience and existence. But anyway, kids are not capable of rational thought for a very long time. In fact, it's something we learn and develop way into our 30s. You know, so we couldn't possibly, like, if we release ourselves from the expectations of kids suddenly, developing logic and being able to analyze the situation, and, then that's just not going to happen. And that would be, kind of unfair on them. And it's not really going to yield a result. So that's the first thing. Then also, emotions need to be felt. There is a reason they come up. It's a human experience. It's so important to have those emotions. And when those emotions are blocked somehow, or like we get this information that, everything's fine, when they're not understood, that's when actually trauma occurs. So it could be the smallest thing that happens, but if the emotion is not lived, if it's not understood, it creates a block of sorts, right? And so later on in life, this is what then creates a pattern. And then whatever the situation was, an analogy, it's like it becomes a trigger, basically. So if something similar occurs, then you instantly go into that cycle or that pattern that has been created then. So what can we do, right? So as parents, it's our job to, first of all, identify. So that's what I call it. Number one, identify. The identification is of the emotions. It's to start speaking about emotions. It's to start even creating this vocabulary. Obviously, if you have a very young child, just start with, the basics, happy, sad, angry, etc. Just start with the basics. And then, as they're speaking more, as they're learning to communicate, start expanding it a little bit. Start showing that, each color has a variation on it. Same with emotions. Each emotion can be slightly, adapted to whatever the situation is. So we need to develop this vocabulary. We need to help them understand it. The second point is honesty. I called it honesty, but it refers to being honest with your children when they do see that, for example, you might be feeling, I don't know, say you are upset about something, and if your child sees that, usually they worry, and they worry because, you are, and where you live, etc., you are their safe space. So safety is a priority. They understand that they're small. They understand that they're weak. They understand that they need protection. Not weak in a sense, probably came off wrong, in the sense that, they're still growing, they're still learning. So they understand that they are dependent. I think that's probably a better word to use. And so, of course, they want to test, they want to see if, everything's okay. So if they ask you, is everything okay? So the honesty part of it is to say, well, actually, right now I'm upset. We all feel emotions and I'm upset. And if you're able to explain, that would be great, because something such and such happened. And so I'm just trying to deal with my emotion. I'm trying to find a solution to something. Ironic, sometimes when parents actually say everything's fine, they think they're protecting their children, but actually they are creating a much, much bigger insecurity. If you're honest and you are able to explain and you're able to show what you're feeling and explain why, kids actually, oh, okay, there is, like, even if they don't understand it straight away, they understand that you're talking to them. They understand that they can come to you. They understand that they can talk to you. I mean, it just opens, it doesn't just help with this particular emotion. It just opens lines of communication, and that is extremely useful and helpful. So my third point is to express. So the next thing that how we can help our kids is to help express those emotions. Well, what does that mean? So here, I've learned recently a very interesting fact, that emotions for kids is equals their body, right? What does that mean? It means that literally every single emotion that they feel, it's not just an internal thing. They feel it in their body constantly. It's in their body. As in, if they're happy, they start jumping. Like they start expressing it with their body. There is no other way. And it applies to all the kids. So even if they're playing or like that's why kids never sit still. They're constantly moving and they're constantly expressing. This is why sometimes they could just turn around and kick you or do something or throw a toy, or they start laughing or they sit and stand up and etc etc. If you just observe your kids, for me it was a revelation that it's not just movement, it's actually emotions. So it's a direct expression of emotion, direct, which is really quite incredible. So actually, if your kids are involved in that, they are doing sports and they are doing all those things, it's just another form of expressing their emotions, which is excellent.